CNN and MSNBC are facing the biggest backlash in their histories after their abysmal responses to the tragedy of Charlie Kirk. Today, we'll show you what they said, play the videos, and display who got fired. Maybe more should be on that list. Folks, let's expose the grift of the legacy news channels right now. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Pro Channel, where we continue to give you what you need to know. The drive-bys, the legacy media types, they have no desire to give you the truth, but we believe in it with a capital T. Folks, it's been a very bad past 24 hours, but we are glad to be trying our best every single day to do the right thing. Click the like button for us, help us magnify that, exemplify that, and send it all across the YouTubes. And in the comments below, respectfully, please share with us your thoughts on what's happened and how the media have responded to the Charlie Kirk tragedy. Let's dive in right now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, take a look at this. We're going to be looking at the reaction to the tragedy with Charlie Kirk across the media, and it is not acceptable. Stephanie has this one at My Nerdy Home. She's hosting what Van Jones had to say just days before Charlie Kirk was removed from Earth by a vicious and terrible person. Here's what Van Jones had to say on CNN prior to that.
Hurt people hurt people. What happened was horrible, but it becomes an opportunity.
And I need to insert, he's talking about the young Ukrainian girl who was killed senselessly. So here's what he's calling the person who killed her a hurting person who hurts another. Here we go.
Hurt people hurt people. What happened was horrible, but it becomes an opportunity for people to jump on bandwagons. And then for someone like Charlie Kirk, he should be ashamed of himself. No one mentioned the word race, white, black, or anything except him.
Elon Musk, Charlie Kirk, other Trump-aligned figures succeeded in making this senseless death a symbol of big city.
And there's shiny foreheaded Brian Stelter. Let's go now to how they handled it after the tragedy. This is MSNBC and Katie Tur, or Tur. I could put a D at the end of that after the way she's handled this. Here's Katie Tur. People are really upset, and they start lashing out online, and they start blaming others for what led up to this. I mean, we see it when Democrats are targeted. We see it when Republicans are targeted. And we're seeing it with this. Anna Paulina Luna, who's a representative from Florida, has put this out on X. She's blaming the Democrats. She's blaming the rhetoric the Democrats use calling Republicans fascist. She's saying, you are the hate. If you're in the FBI field office and you see this sort of stuff bubbling up online, how worried do you get about somebody taking up the cause of Charlie Kirk? Let's pause there. Mark, how worried are you about people taking up the cause of Charlie Kirk as a result? And do you think the FBI should be involved in trying to prevent the cause of Charlie Kirk after this?
What, using logic? That's what he was attacked for. And that's the core of what is demonic here, is that the media has been complicit in creating two fact sets. Two completely different Americas that believe completely different things. We covered this polling on your show before. The people who watch CNN and MSNBC, their number one issues for the election were threats to democracy and abortion. For Newsmax viewers and Fox News viewers, it was illegal aliens and prices. And those are objectively much more real issues than threats to democracy. And so the good news is that we've been polling a lot on the media. We had a stunning finding that 60% agreed that the media is the enemy of the people. And half of them said, no matter how much you hate the media, it's not enough. But we've been checking those numbers, and they're actually starting to go down now. And the reason is because independent online sources, influencers, objective thinkers are now where a lot more people increasingly get their news. And those people are a lot smarter and a lot more suspicious about old elite establishment power structures. So like sand through their fingers, they're losing their ability to lie to America. The viewership of CNN and MSNBC is crashing. All of these shows are buckling under the weight of their massive production budgets. And they're not going to be able to claw that back because authenticity is the number one currency. And so I think this is a trend that we've seen everywhere, is that as people lose their establishment power that they've been wielding over people, things are going to break. We're getting closer to World War III. We're getting more political violence. We're getting more extreme rhetoric. I mean, just 10 years ago, it was like, oh, Trump's weird. And now it's like, oh, he's Nazi, Hitler, convicted felon, and we need to kill him. So it's only going downhill for there. Hopefully this week has been crossing the Rubicon, and the level of resolve in America to demand integrity and logic will forever be elevated now.
I want to get Marty's take on this next one, because we're going through the media and just how terrible they have been. Of course, the legacy going extinct dinosaur media, right? Yeah. I mean, MSNBC and CNN have been spun off at this point. Their parent companies are ashamed of them. Nobody's watching them. I don't know how they're still on the air, but they are, and they don't stop with the vitriol. And the problem is that they may have tiny audiences, but their tiny audiences may also be filled with people who have a proclivity for doing horrible things if they continue to be propagandized in the way that they are. Here's an example of that. This is from MSNBC, and this is after Charlie Kirk had been shot, and anybody with an ounce of journalism could have seen that this was a very bad situation from the get-go, and you would have thought that they would have had a modicum of respect. They didn't. Here is, we'll just say Mr. Dowd. Here we go.
Then lead to hateful actions. And I think that's the environment we're in, that people just, you can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place.
Matt,
and that's the unfortunate environment we're in.
Turning Point USA has confirmed that he was shot. And there are a number of
then lead to.
So blame him. That's the message. Now, thankfully, MSNBC did issue an apology, and I've heard that he may have been let go, but you know how it is. 6 months later, these people pop back up again somewhere else. But at least they did put out an apology, but that's how severe it was that they had to issue an apology. Marty, how badly does this hurt the credibility that was already cratered for these cable channels? And is it time for them to just go out to pasture and move on?
So I've been talking about the fable of the boy who cried wolf. And the lesson to be learned from the boy who cried wolf isn't the simple don't lie or people will stop believing you. The real lesson to the boy who cried wolf is much deeper and actually scarier. And that is when we lose trust, the sheep die. And that's what's happening. There will be innocent people dying because we no longer have trust. We can't get truth from any of the institutions that we used to think maybe there was some integrity and some truth coming out of these places. So from the CDC to the World Health Organization to the FBI to members of Congress. Well, maybe never members of Congress, but at least we used to believe. When I grew up, Walter Cronkite got on the air and he was a newsman. And when he said something, you kind of believed him. And we no longer have a place that we can agree on. We can't agree on data. We can't agree on facts. It's an epistemological crisis. We don't know how to determine truth or find truth, which means the sheep will die. There will be things that are happening where innocent people are dying. I don't know if that is something as horrendous as a civil war or just another tragedy that befalls of a group of people. But there is the wages of sin is death. And what this is sin. And these journalists, I just cannot hardly believe the kinds of things that they think they can say and get away with. That Malcolm Dowd needs to be gone forever. These people need to be shunned. Civil society needs to. I'm seeing people in the chat here, and I hope people look at some of these folks in the chat and say, never again, you're out. We will expose you, and you will not be part of any discourse, because it's, like I said before, it's a death cult. What I'm hoping to see is some of the people on the moderate left, or maybe a little bit left, who are going to say, wow, what in the world was I doing? Are they going to come back to the middle? Are they going to ask for some forgiveness and some civil discourse? Because they've been, the left has for so long been in this echo chamber and siloed that they've convinced each other and they've convinced themselves that they have the truth, and they don't have the truth. And now we can see plain as day, you cannot be celebrating Luigi Mangione for shooting in cold blood and insurance salesman. You can't be giving excuses for the Carlos Brown Jr. for killing Irena. The very first thing he said as he's walking around with blood dripping from his knife is, "I got the white lady." That's what he was saying throughout the thing. Now, I think he's probably mentally off. He's gone. He's mentally gone. And they knew he was mentally gone, but the system wouldn't put him behind bars, and she's dead. So, like, to say this isn't racial, there's not a racial component, to say that this isn't demonic, it just means these people have no ability to see truth anymore. And we have to have people of integrity who will start to tell truth that we can trust, so we know where to find truth and the sheep won't die. But I'm very concerned.
Marty, let me pick your brain on this, though. Because I really do consider you to be, I won't say a genius, because I don't want to make you be in an uncomfortable position, but I mean, you've done some amazing things in life. And I'd like to just ask you, because you brought up the epistemology of this. Marty, in my assessment, what's wild about this is I think they reject epistemology. Like, I don't think they believe in facts or anything. They just believe in power. And this is the result of that. It's craven.
Well, I went to Washington, and I've said this a few times, and it's interesting because people see me as, I'm a gamer, I'm a nerd, I'm a musician, I'm not a lawyer, thank God. But what I've told people is that my goal is to take the ring of power and throw it into the fires of Mount Doom. Like what Tolkien was symbolizing, and the story he was telling is as old as humanity itself. It is all about power. The ring of power, when people have it, they are corrupted, and they're corrupted absolutely. And it is probably one of the most difficult things to do. And the media, Hollywood, the culture in general is drunk on power. Washington, D.C. has been bloated with power, and the bureaucracy is bloated. This all needs to be dismantled, but dismantled in such a way that it's replaced with common sense, constitutional thinking, godly people who are trustworthy. And it's going to take a long time for that to happen.
Absolutely. Kevin, when we look at the way the media is responding, what are your thoughts on, do we have to now wonder, somebody who watches CNN or MSNBC, like, that is a small percentage of people, and they're being propagandized all the time. And I don't want to get in that situation that the left will sometimes do, where they say, Fox News viewers are deranged. But I can't help on a day like today but look at this and say, the way the hosts are acting is deranged. And if that's their default response, then I don't trust anything that comes out of their mouths, and I don't trust what's going into the ears of impressionable people listening to them.
Listen, and I don't mean to be dystopian about it, but listen, when the left accuses you of something, it's because it's something they're doing themselves.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, and I've said this on the show a couple of times, you go back to November 2000, that's when the veil got pierced. That's when they showed you their face. We didn't have a decision going to 1 o'clock in the morning, and they started picking sides. We got to 2004, and they declared war because you didn't vote the way they wanted to. 2008, they did a victory lap. 2010 hit, and they told you that everybody was a racist. Then we get to Orange Man cometh, and they lost their bloody minds. We live in a world where Van Jones could go on TV, live TV, and lie, hands up, don't shoot, and start a riot, and was never taken to account. He got away with it. He was praised for it. How many times we watched Joy Reid lie and obfuscate the truth? How many times listen, we watched them essentially that they couldn't admit that a man was murdered because he had an opinion.
Right.
What is going on? This is insanity. And it's been going for so long that it has warped the culture. If you go look at TikTok right now, you've got young people celebrating a man who was savaged. What? And all he wanted, this is a good man who just wanted to make the world a brighter place and reteach you how to critically think. So,
Yeah. And I'll say this too, you know, one of the things that we're watching is the responses. And these responses, they're not just creepy in the public and the dark recesses of the dark web. They're creepy from some of these hosts. And I think that maybe we miscalculated a little bit. And I don't know what we could have done about it because, I mean, we came within a hair, you know, we came within an Elon of losing free speech online, right? They tried to take away the digital town square. But I think that the dangers of letting people lie for a living on air are far exceeding what most people had pontificated about. Yeah. Culture, when we look at what goes on at MSNBC and these other places, I mean, look at The View, look at Jimmy Kimmel, look what they do. They come out and they just rip into people, and it's not funny. It's mean and it's hateful. And it gives me the impression that I think they would genuinely celebrate at the death of others. And I hate to say that, but this is the kind of stuff that we're dealing with. Maybe culture, it's time for the corporations to shut it down.
Well, I think that it was pretty easy to keep shut down. We just lost that privilege around 2000, I want to say 8, when they eliminated or they vastly reduced the effectiveness of the Smith-Mundt Act, which kept the government from lying to us. Because I don't want to point every finger at the media as much as I don't think you hate them enough, but they really neutralized the federal government, or I should say they opened the floodgates for intelligence agencies to flood us with propaganda, which prior to the destruction of that act, let's say, they couldn't do. So when I look at how the country fell apart, I mean, I can point at certain administrations and certain moments in history, but we've never been in more danger since that was taken away, because it opened, again, the floodgates for the government to lie to us, which they were prevented from doing. And then, of course, the media is then enabled to pass along those same lies, which is why we got Russia, and all the other baloney sausage that followed. Every single thing can be pointed towards the moment that we started to allow our freedoms to be taken away from us. And it goes back to lots of famous quotes like, you know, the minute you worry about, you know, security, you're losing liberty and whatnot. There's a bunch of those statements out there. But I'll just say this. If we cannot rely on anyone to tell us the truth, where are we? Well, we've been lost for a long time. And organizations like Charlie's, which again, he founded at age 18, everybody. He was not ashamed of not going into higher education, but he's probably one of the most book-read, well-informed intellectuals you would have ever met. I know, I met the guy. So I'll just tell you that from a young age, and establishing in 2013, the larger and larger events that drew in younger people into a conservative, you know, I guess ideology, he really did nothing but fight with words. Yeah. He didn't fight with violence. His conversation was the mechanism of change.
But culture, he existed in a society where the left has embraced the idea that words are violence.
Well, that's true, but they actually use actual violence, so we can get to a different conversation.
Yeah, silence is not violence. Violence is violence. The thing about Charlie that I loved was that when he engaged in civil discourse, it was civil. He respected people's opposing views. He wanted to hear from them. He let them speak. You know, he was showing the way for true civil discourse. He wasn't just pontificating and being mean and bullying. Nope. The guy was amazing, and for that guy to be taken out is inconceivable for me.
Well, it's the greatest threat, which is why to this very moment that I'm aware of, they've suspected 2 people, and neither of them have been the problem. So until we actually legitimately find the problem, I think we're going to have a hanging chad in the ballot that is democracy in this country.
Nice Florida reference. Well done, Culture. You know, it's always sad when one of these video ends, and yet it is the beginning of the wait for the next one to land. 4 times a day right here on the Pro Channel. And by the way, there's plenty more on our partner channels. That Part Place, That Pod Place, That Game Place, and go check out the original music we have on stations like Vacation Radio. We'd love to have you, love to entertain you. At least we'll do a better job than some of the current entertainment companies. Folks, like, share, subscribe, and you know what? Drop a comment right on down below. Share this out anywhere you go on social media. And until the next time, we have the honor, the pleasure of getting to spend time with you when you choose to invite us into your day to add the value that we hope to bring your way. We ask that you keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
Jump into the water!
Why listen to music made by people and companies who really don't like you? Check out Vacation Radio today and prepare for all new content made by the people behind the WDW Pro Channel. It's the place you need for all the music. That should be fun. Hundreds of songs, every genre you can imagine. Listen live on YouTube and enjoy a set list that's always sunny. It's Vacation Radio. What are you waiting for? Every WDW Pro video has a link to Vacation Radio in the video description. Try it out and subscribe today.